Clock at night. On the last subway train of the night, a female passenger suddenly loses her mind. She screams, "There's a snake on the train! The snake is going to eat us! Run!" But everyone in the car looks around for a long moment, and all they see, right by her feet, is a tiny earthworm no bigger than a chopstick. Laughter erupts across the car. An earthworm counts as a snake? She is really scared out of her mind. A burly man rushes forward and stomps the little earthworm into pulp with one foot. The woman's face turns ashen in an instant. Without saying a word, she bolts toward the next car like she's running for her life. The very next second, I suddenly feel something against the back of my calf, a cold, slimy sensation brushing past my skin. I look down, and there in the shadow beneath the seat, a massive snake is packed into the entire space under the seat. Its flat triangular head is pressed against the floor, and a crimson forked tongue hisses out toward my ankle. My whole body goes rigid with terror, and I spring up almost instantly, launching myself out of the seat. The giant snake, in the very next second, bursts out from under the seat, but thankfully it doesn't come after me. Instead, it lunges at the burly man who just crushed the earthworm, shooting toward him at terrifying speed. In barely 1 second, its fangs sink into the man's neck. Screams explode across the car. The man clutches his neck, convulses a few times, and collapses to the floor. Once I get a clear look at the snake, my mind goes completely blank. Its body is nearly the size of a giant reticulated python, but the shape of its head and the patterns along its body are unmistakably those of a king cobra. How can there possibly be a king cobra this enormous anywhere in the world? And even if it is a king cobra, the venom cannot possibly take effect this fast. That burly man, how could he go down so quickly? And how did a snake this huge even get onto the subway? After the burly man collapses, the giant snake whips around and slithers toward the rest of us at terrifying speed. Luckily, this particular train is the only one left in the capital city that hasn't been phased out, an old model subway. Between each car, there are still connecting doors. If this were a regular subway, where all the cars are connected in one open passage, then at this moment, nobody on this train would have anywhere to hide. The giant snake moves incredibly fast. Almost the next second, it wraps around another person's neck. Everyone panics, scrambling toward whichever car is closer to them. Some run toward the front, others run toward the back. Unfortunately for me, the snake chases in the exact direction I'm running. This snake is unbelievably fast. The moment I step into the next car, its massive body is already sliding over the connector. Its flat triangular head is right behind me, and I can almost feel its forked tongue flicking against my back. "Close the door! Close the door!" A young man with bleached blonde hair screams, his face twisted in terror. A man in a black cap standing near the door reacts instantly. He grabs the edges of the heavy car door with both hands, throws all his strength into it, and with a dull metallic thud, yanks it shut. With a clang, the heavy partition door slams shut, pushing the snake's tongue, which was already halfway inside, back out. But outside the door, there are still 4 or 5 people who didn't make it in. Their faces contort in horror as they pound frantically on the door. Slowly, their screams start mixing in with the sound of heavy bodies hitting the floor. The man in the black cap turns his back to the door, completely ignoring the cries for help outside. The other people in the car are also frozen by the horror of what they're witnessing. Some are calling the police. Others are crouched on the floor, sobbing. Only one middle-aged woman with curly hair breaks out of the crowd, her face full of panic. My husband is still out there. Why did you close the door?" She throws herself at the closed door like a madwoman, scratching at the seam with her bony fingers. "Open the door, you murderers. Open the door and let my husband in." The man in the black cap presses his back against the cold, shuddering door, holding it shut with everything he has, refusing to budge. If I hadn't shut this door just now, that snake would already be inside. Not a single one of us would survive. The next station is coming up soon. If you want to live, get ready to get off. "I don't care! I don't care! Whatever monster! Whatever snake!" The woman's eyes are bloodshot, tears and snot streaming down her face. She shoves at the man in the black cap with all her strength. "That is my husband! You closed the door! You're killing him! Get out of the way! Move!" She sobs uncontrollably, and a nearby college-aged couple can't take it anymore. They start pressing him too. The people outside are still calling for help. That means the snake hasn't killed all of them. These are human lives, why won't you save them? You're so cold-blooded. Exactly. These two clearly love each other. Because you shut that door, they're being torn apart forever. You shouldn't have closed it so fast. The bleached blonde guy standing nearby scoffs. Where did these saints come from? If you love playing hero so much, why don't you go to the next car and save them yourselves? The two sides immediately start arguing. Meanwhile, I suddenly notice something. The pounding and screaming outside has completely stopped. In the middle of the door, there's a small pane of glass, a window. Even though the man in the black cap is blocking most of the view, I can still see a sliver of the other side. The giant snake is staring straight at our side of the door, flicking its tongue in and out over and over. Its eyes are blood red. I'm certain now. This thing is definitely not just an ordinary snake. There's no point arguing, I say, my voice dry and hoarse. There's no one alive out there anymore. The curly-haired woman follows my gaze, freezes for 2 seconds, and lets out a heart-shattering wail. My husband, she whirls around and claws at the man in the black cap's face. It was you! You killed him by closing the door! She collapses to the floor, her sobs sharp and piercing, but my eyes stay locked on the giant snake in the middle of the car across from us. Its massive triangular head is still pointed straight at us. I feel a chill crawl up my spine under its stare. It's the first time I've ever seen such thick, deliberate killing intent in the eyes of a cold-blooded animal. Thank God there's a door between us, otherwise none of us would make it out alive. Just then, the subway finally slows down and pulls into a station. The announcement plays. Everyone grabs onto this lifeline of hope and swarms toward the doors. But when the train comes to a full stop, and the announcement ends, the doors don't move at all. Open the door! Open the door! Open the door! What's going on? Panic explodes through the car. Instinctively, I glance back at the connecting door, and one look sends goosebumps crawling all over my body. On the floor of the previous car, the people who died earlier now have their eyes wide open. Their eyes are hollow and dead white, staring straight up at the ceiling. Even more terrifying, on their exposed skin, something like snake scale seems to be growing. The first thing that pops into my head is the zombies from those foreign movies. I feel like it's all over. If there were only one giant snake, maybe we'd still have a shot at escape. But the situation now is far from simple. I glance to the side, and my eyes land on the girl who first screamed about the snake. Something clicks in my mind. I rush over and crouch down next to her. What is that thing? I keep my voice low, my teeth chattering. You know something, don't you? She looks up at me, her face drained of all color, her pupils dilated from sheer terror. Her lips tremble for a long moment before she forces out a few words. It's a mutated snake. There's a virus. It's contagious. And at this very moment, the bodies that were lying on the floor of the previous car slowly rise up in stiff, unnatural postures, dragging themselves out of the pools of blood. Their faces are ashen gray, the whites of their eyes clouded and bloodshot. Under the lights, their skin gleams with an unnatural oily sheen. Fine snake scales are pushing through the skin on their necks and the backs of their hands. They straighten their bodies, line up in a row, and stand rigidly in front of the door, their eyes locked on our side of the door. The curly-haired woman's eyes light up. She points at the glass and screams, "He's alive! My husband is alive! Open the door! Open the door!" The next second, a series of loud bangs. Those things suddenly start moving, slamming their bodies into the door in a frenzy, again and again, each hit with terrifying force. Their eyes stare straight through the glass, devoid of any emotion. No matter how you look at them, they don't look like living people. But Mrs. Delgado's eyes brim with tears as she stares at her husband. "My husband! Thank God! Haha, you're alive! I'm coming to open the door right now! Don't open it!" The man in the black cap presses his back hard against the shuddering door, veins bulging on his forehead. "Ma'am, open your eyes and look. Is that thing even your husband anymore?" "I don't care, he's my husband." She's completely unhinged, reaching out to tear at the door lock. My heart is pounding. This woman is making my temples throb with anger. "Do you want to get us all killed?" She whips her head around, spit flying nearly into my face, her fingers nearly jabbing me in the eye. "And who the hell are you, you cold-blooded animal? When I get out of here, I'm calling the police, and I'll have all of you murderers thrown in jail." Before she can finish, there's a shattering crash. The square glass window in the middle of the door explodes. Several ashen gray arms thrust in through the broken opening. And Mrs. Delgado's attitude flips in an instant. "Monsters! Monsters!" Her scream changes pitch entirely. She stumbles backward. This time it's real, undeniable terror. Before I can even process this horrifying sight, a strong force hits me from behind. Someone shoves me. I lose my balance completely. Fine. That young man was against me, and I couldn't take him down. But I can sure as hell take you down. How dare you talk back to me just now, little punk like you? You think I can't handle you? At the critical moment, a strong hand grabs the back of my collar and yanks me backward with force. I stagger back, still shaken, and turn to look. Given how strong that grip was, I expected my rescuer to be some big, burly man. But to my surprise, standing behind me is a tall woman in a leather jacket. The muscles in her arms are so defined, even the leather can't hide them. Before I can even say thank you, she steps forward, face grim, grabs Mrs. Delgado, who is still screaming, with one hand, and without hesitation, shoves her toward the shattered window. Naomi says coldly, "You nasty old hag, people like you who try to get others killed wouldn't be a loss if you croaked. Help me!" The snake mutants tear into Mrs. Delgado. Roman lets out a small scoff. "Serves you right, you old crone. You were just trying to hurt someone. Now look at you. Now you can go reunite with your beloved husband." Naomi doesn't even glance back. She turns and calls out to us in a low voice. "We can't hold this side. Get to the next car." She leads the way, charging toward the connecting door at the other end, trying to pull it open. But the scene on the other side of the door makes our hearts sink. The passengers in the next car are pressing their bodies and piling luggage against the door to block it. Several terrified but determined faces are pressed against the glass. A bald man shouts through the door, his voice muffled. "Sorry, we're not opening this door." Naomi bangs on the door and frowns. "It hasn't gotten that bad yet. The door on the other side can hold for a while longer. If you open this door and let us in now, it won't put you in any danger. We saw exactly how you treated the people in the car before you. We saw all of it. When you shut that door on them, you didn't hesitate for a second when you did that to other people. You should have known that the same thing could happen to you. The situation back then was completely different from now. You've got plenty of time to open the door right now." The bald man's words cut like knives, shredding whatever fragile piece our car was barely holding together. The college couple who had been cowering the whole time suddenly snapped. The boyfriend points at Roman, sobbing and cursing. This is all your fault. If you hadn't been so cold-blooded, if you hadn't shut the door on those people, would we be stuck out here waiting to die? Now look, we're all going to die because of you. Exactly, you selfish piece of trash. Now that karma's come, you're dragging us down with you. Roman opens his mouth, his face dark, looking at all the accusing faces he wants to explain, but in the end, he just forces a few words through clenched teeth. Fine, I'll take it. Just then, there's a huge crash from the connecting door behind us. The metal edges of the door frame are already warping and bulging. The door has been rammed open, leaving a crack. They're getting in! The college girlfriend collapses to the floor, her voice shaking uncontrollably. The giant snake's massive head is the first thing to squeeze through the warped opening, its eyes locked straight onto the people